This episode of Unboxed was made possible thanks to viewers like you. Thank you. Released by Namco in 1997 on the original PlayStation, Klonoa was one of many 2.5D platformers that graced the PlayStation that utilized the 3D plane to offer more varied levels, with paths branching in all directions, and wild camera angles. The game stars the titular Klonoa and his spirit friend Hupo, who lives inside a giant ring and provides Klonoa with his only weapon. The controls are fairly simple. Using the ring, we can shoot at enemies, which causes them to inflate. You can then use them to double jump or shoot at other enemies or objects. The game's plot revolves around Klonoa responding to a crash on a nearby mountain, where the evil plague doctor wannabe Guardius and Meta Knight's special half-brother Joker are scheming to kidnap a girl called Lafise in their pursuit to destroy the world of Phantomil. It's your basic cookie car story that fits into a cookie car platformer. Outside of a few moments, the game reminds me of a less interesting Kirby. The boss battles are where the game shine though, with each one varying wildly in strategy. That's not to say the game is bad though. The levels are fairly well designed with enough challenge to keep you interested, and like a Kirby game, it's full of all the cutesy, lightheartedness, and bright characters you expect, like the buff but kind Baloo, the Fish Carol, and Klonoa's own grandfather who... What the fuck? Yeah, halfway through the game, Joker proceeds just to straight up blow up Klonoa's house with his grandfather inside, which leads to this absolutely devastating scene. It's also where the story takes a sharp left turn. The fact the characters are speaking a made-up language just makes it even more depressing. Or undermines it, I can't decide. The controls are fine, I guess. Klonoa's attack doesn't have that much reach, so grabbing certain enemies can be a chore when you have to get right up close to them. Also, while Klonoa does have a hover with his jump, it barely does anything, especially in dire situations. Klonoa was actually developed by Hideo Yoshizawa, who, before working at Namco, was actually a member of Tecmo, and was the director of the original Ninja Gaiden and its 2 NES sequels. Klonoa would be a major success for Namco in Japan, actually becoming the 4th highest selling game of the week of its release. And success was big news for Namco. For a company who had up until then mainly sold itself on arcade titles like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Ridge Racer, and Tekken, this gave Namco the confidence to pursue bigger titles just for consoles, like the Tales series. Over the years, Klonoa saw many other titles on numerous platforms. There was a sequel released in the Bandai WonderSwan, a GBA spin-off, a Klonoa 2 on the PS2 in 2001, and then a completely different Klonoa 2 on the GBA the next year, a Japanese exclusive RPG, and lastly a beach volleyball game which I can guarantee you is more in depth than anything Team Ninja has created. And just last year, it was announced an animated movie was in production. But, in 2007, to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the game, it was announced that Klonoa would be remade for the Nintendo Wii. For the remake, Namco actually proposed a redesign for Klonoa, taking away the cuteness and the Namco tribute Pac-Man hat, and giving him a more edgy, cool look. This design was panned and even described as depressing, and people liking it to Poochie the dog. Now, calling something depressing is one thing, but Poochie the dog? That's just cruel. As for the remake, Everything is given an overhaul from the opening cutscene to the levels, and it works fairly well. They've seemed to have lengthened the reach of Klonoa's attack, as well as giving him 5 hearts instead of 3. But then they decided to add, voice work.
Did you see that? Something crashed into Bell Hill. Let's go and take a look.
Yeah!
But whoa, wait a minute!
I'm Klonoa from Wind Village.
And my name is Yupo. Grandpa told us to go talk to the chiefess, and we're on our way to see her.
Sounds like a group who lost out on a Sonic audition. Ugh. Fortunately, you can change the audio to the Phantom Meal language, so you can have Klonoa mourn his grandpa in gibberish again like the heartless bastard you are. As for which version I'd go with, well, the Wii version is the obvious choice, with almost every aspect improved from the PlayStation version. But in terms of access, Klonoa is available as a PS1 classic on the PS3 and Vita. Since its debut 20 years ago, Klonoa has garnered a real cult following. The lack of titles over the past decade lie mainly due to Namco doing little to market the titles during the series' life, and thus lately sweeping it underneath the rug. The remake of Klonoa released to little fanfare at all, selling barely 200,000 copies, which is a shame because there is a potential for this series. Hideo wanted Klonoa to appeal to a wide demographic with its cheery, cute design and serious storytelling. If Namco Bandai made a new Klonoa game with the right marketing push, it could be a major seller, or even just make an appearance in another game, like Project Cross Zone. Wait, how the hell has he not been in that one? In fact, that's what he needs. Klonoa needs to make an appearance in a major selling, multi-franchise title even bigger than Cross Zone. If only Namco Bandai was associated with one. Oh well. Well folks, I'm Enigma, this has been Klonoa, and I'll see you all next time. This episode of Unboxed was requested by Bobbit33, thanks to Patreon. If you want to tell Enigma what to review, then click the link to find out how.